Hi Ange, what happened today? Do you think it was maybe a roll too far for the players? It looked pretty out of
I think for the most part we control the game pretty well. I mean, we certainly created enough opportunities to win the game. Obviously, we had that 5-minute spell after half time where we got punished. But either side of that, there was enough there for us to win the game. But the players are giving everything, and from my perspective, I just can't get away from that fact that this group of players are trying as hard as they possibly can to turn our fortunes around.
Have you sort of convinced people to get the table, look at the problems you have, and sort of factor that in?
That doesn't really kind of come into my consciousness about trying to convince people. I think. I've been around long enough to know that some will just judge on where we're at the moment, and rightly so in some respects, and it's not good enough. If people want to sort of put context to that, they can. If not, so be it. But from my point of view, I think I'm still sort of very much stuck on the fact that the players are just giving everything they can. They did on Thursday night, they did tonight. There's probably at least 2 that shouldn't have been out there, but they were just, desperate to try and, like I said, turn our fortunes around. Now, hopefully over the next sort of 10 days, 2 weeks, we'll get some significant players back, which I think will help this group a lot and give them the boost they need. And we still got some fantastic opportunities this year to make an impact for the second half of the year, and I'm sure that'll happen.
Ange, on 54 minutes you took Richarlison off the 2-1 down, presumably because he's been injured, recovering, looking after him. But given the situation, the team...
He was feeling his groin, mate. He should have come off at half time, but he wanted to give another 10 minutes, and I could see he wasn't running well, so that's why I took him off.
You said that, another 10 days, 2 weeks, players coming back. With respect, do you think you'll get that long?
Me? Oh, mate, who knows, mate? I mean, who knows? I reckon there's probably a fair chunk that will say no, but I can't, like I said, I can't, look, it's, when you're a manager of a football club, it's a very kind of, you can be very vulnerable and isolated. I don't feel that. I really feel like this group of players, not for me, but they're giving everything for the club. I've got a group of staff that's really committed, so I kind of focus on that, and my role within that is, like I said, to try and support these players. I think I can even see in training that when the guys who are come back in, it's just going to give everyone a lift. And as I keep saying to the players, there's still a fantastic opportunity this season to really make an impact, and I know we can. But in terms of your question, well. What is there anything I can say about that is going to change anything that I need to do tomorrow morning? Nothing.
The fans understand they're sort of frustrated. Yeah. It feels like they want to blame someone. It's clear who they were blamed from the song, and it wasn't yourself but the players.
I know, but I don't know. Look, but I mean that's part of it's certainly something I wanted to try and do, and when I took on this role, is try and unify the club and sort of create an environment here where we're all sort of focused on the one thing. And obviously, it hasn't worked out that way, and it's understandable that like I said, the fans, are not happy with our current sort of situation, and it's a difficult one to kind of navigate, because we need them right now to, especially in home, to create an atmosphere. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we played Liverpool here, and it was a great night, and everyone was sort of focused on the one thing. But like I said, the one thing I do, like I keep saying, and I think it's important to acknowledge, is that the players are giving everything for this club, and I think that's, I think that's something that needs to be kind of acknowledged by everyone.
And just finally from me, you couldn't name a full bench today.
No.
I know talking about transfers is a bit silly in this situation. Like, is this a big week now? We've got 1 week of the transfer window. Is this going to be defining to happen?
Look, I don't know. Look, I've said all along, it's, the players need help, and I've also said the club, I know the club's working hard, but in that area to try and alleviate some of those problems, because, look, Pape Sarr shouldn't have played today. He obviously wasn't fit, but the players are going out there and giving everything they can, because we can't call off games. We've got another game in 3 days' time, that these players have to front up for. And like I said, the injuries situation will ease, and I'm confident that'll sort of help us. But, I think, even sort of one more player coming in just in the short term would give us at least an opportunity to navigate these sort of last sort of 10 days, 2 weeks of, what's been a really hard slog for this group of players.
You say you don't feel isolated right now. We already asked you about throughout this period. Do you speak quite regularly with the chairman? What's the sort of dialogue? Do you let him get on?
Yeah, no, I don't really speak regularly to him. Like he sort of lets me get onto it. We have sort of regular contact, and particularly sort of through this January period, there's always regular contact. But that's not what I'm talking about in terms of. I'm just saying that, I come into the club and I just feel like everyone, players and staff, are still very much united in the belief of what we're trying to do. And I don't kind of feel like I'm really sort of trying to convince people about, even at this moment, what we're doing and where we're heading. So that's where I kind of get the solace to say, well, okay, well, I still believe in that. We can sort of, because I keep saying I still think there's an opportunity, and I really believe in this group of players. I think even today, what I asked of them, I still thought some of the performances were outstanding, considering what they've been through. So that's all, to me, that's all positive. But ultimately, the fact that we've lost another game of football means that the focus is on that.
And do you think what you hope to achieve for the rest of the season with the confidence that you have, do you think that is going to be possible though when it is so new to us in the stands?
Well, I mean, in some respects, that's in our hands, because, as I said, we're, in at least 2 competitions, we're in good shape to make an impact. So, in many respects, like I said, I think that, I think you can turn that around pretty quickly with, some positive results at the right time.
George, last one, please.
Few times the players they're giving everything for the club, but the players are giving everything for you, right? Because so many of them kind of, this group have been together for 2 months, and it's still sort of, you one win away from Wembley, you must sort of hope that kind of counts for something when people judge it's not just the league.
Yeah, look, George, I mean, like I said, I have felt all along that the players are still very committed to what we're doing, and that's important to me, because, I firmly believe in it, and I really believe that this is probably as low as we've been so far this year. That I still think that in these last 3 months we could do something really special, and I think that these players believe that. But right now, it's very hard to kind of visualise that when you think of the current circumstances we're in, where you just have to look at our absences today, and they'll all be back. I mean, even sort of missing Matters today. I mean, he was so good the other night. All these kind of little things that are kind of not allowing us to get any momentum, I'm sure will change. And when they change, I'm really confident that we can make an impact.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.